Yo. $1 billion a year. They've done CR after CR after omnibus after omnibus. But they were running a $2 trillion deficit. Why don't they have any money for FEMA? This is unacceptable. I don't accept this. No, no.
Because they love to push. I like that.
And they need a supplement. FEMA has no budget. They need a supplement.
A rush, just go A.
Why? Where our government's already been spending like $7 trillion a year. They've. Yo, Eric's in the house. What's up, Eric? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Figured I'd get a couple of clips up here. Yo, get the stream started.
Nice, 2K.
We will dance on your graves.
Good shit. Nice, 2K.
We will dance on your grave.
What's going on with you, Eric? What's new with you, Eric? What's happening? Philadelphia. Guys, we're getting more results in from inner city Philadelphia. Guys, 2 weeks later, we got more ballots coming in. Boom. Kamala Harris wins with the new ballots from inner city Philadelphia 2 weeks after. Yep. Look at what Jamie Raskin said. He won't even certify the election if Trump wins. Oh, yeah, Goku Games. I think it could be really bad if Trump wins. I am a little bit worried about that, Goku Games. I think that makes a good point. If Trump wins, and I think Trump will win, I do think we're going to enter a pretty dangerous... I just want to throw up like 5. I'll just throw up like 5 right now. No. All right, we already got that one up. All right, we're here to pick up soldiers. We're going to cap. Here, everybody hop in. All right, we're here. That's actually a pretty good one because I'm getting shot at so much. That's actually a pretty good clip, even though nothing happens, just because I'm getting caught at. It's kind of stressful. We'll see how my gaming ones do. These ones actually do pretty well usually. Dude, how'd you make it out of there? All right, I'm done with that. Just had to get a little bit of that out of the way. Just playing some Company Heroes 3, honoring my countrymen. Long live the Anzacs. Nice, Eric. Lecture's pretty good at speaking Russian. Almost seems like he's a native speaker. Lecture fan of Russian Spy. Dude, I actually am pretty good at speaking Russian. Thank you. I could definitely do it. Columbus was right. Guess. What's up, guess? Happy Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day. Hezbollah strike shows growing threat posed by drones. The Lebanese militia Hezbollah struck an Israeli military base in central Israel, killing 4 soldiers and wounding dozens, highlighting a weak spot in Israel's vaunted air defense system that military officials say is hard to counter. The drone, which was launched Sunday night, was able to pass detection by Israeli forces before crashing into a Golani Infantry Brigade military base near Binyamini. Overall, 61 were wounded. The drone didn't set off warning sirens and struck a dining hall as soldiers were eating dinner. It left a large hole in the ceiling of the dining hall. Blood splattered on the floor. Hezbollah took responsibility for the strike, saying it had launched a squadron of attack drones. Current and former military officials said Israel has struggled to come up with adequate solutions to counter drones being fired by Hezbollah. While drones have played a crucial role in the war in Ukraine, Israel's military is focused on long-standing threats such as rockets and missiles and has viewed drones as a side issue. We are concentrating significant efforts in developing solutions to address the threat of UAV attacks. Man, that's bad news, dude. These drone attacks and drone warfare is scary stuff, man. You don't want to get caught up in that mess. Whoa. Columbus was a goat. Yeah, he was. He was literally the greatest of all time. Both at his time and now. Yeah, Christopher Columbus was the greatest of all time. One of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest mariners, one of the greatest sailors, one of the greatest captains of all time, one of the greatest navigators, one of the greatest seamen, you name it. The best of all time. Christopher Columbus. Happy Columbus Day. Google backs new nuclear plants to power AI. Google will back the construction of 7 small nuclear power reactors in the U.S., a first-of-its-kind deal that aims to help feed the tech company's growing appetite for electricity to power AI and jumpstart a U.S. nuke revival. Under the deal's terms, Google committed to buying power generated by 7 reactors to be built by nuclear power energy startup Kairos Power. The agreement targets adding 500 megawatts of nuke power starting at the end of the decade. The argument is the first that would underpin commercial construction in the U.S. of small modular nukes. Cool, dude. Worldwide efforts to reverse the baby shortage are falling flat. Nobel for Economics awarded to authors of Why Nations Fail. Dow S&P 500 climbed to fresh records. Jeez, man. Are you kidding me? The 10 years up to 4.1, dude? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Is Ted Cruz blowing his re-election race? Facing a too close for comfort contest, Texas Republican mixes bipartisanship with red meat for his base. In the suburbs north of Dallas, as in most of America, everyone has an opinion on Ted Cruz. He's a man of integrity and intelligence, 86-year-old Plano resident James said of the junior GOP senator. Local tech worker had the opposite. I'd vote for anything over Ted Cruz, a rock or a potato. He's a terrible person. This year, amid a re-election race, Republicans said it too close for comfort. The fiery Cruz is trying to move past his reputation for being unlikable and convince swing voters in the state's rapidly growing and increasingly competitive suburbs that he is a substantive statesman. Democrats have poured money into the coffers of Cruz's challenger, Colin Allred, a former NFL football player and civil rights attorney. Cruz has been a household name since running for president in 2016 in Texas. He's known to fans for staunchly conservative bona fides and to detractors for fleeing to Cancun, Mexico during a 2021 freeze that crippled the state. In Washington, he's long had a mixed reputation with colleagues. Lindsey Graham joked at a dinner with journalists, if you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate and trial was in the Senate, nobody would convict. The race won't just turn on Cruz's popularity or lack of it. It's also the latest test of whether Texas is becoming a purple state in the vein of Georgia, North Carolina, or still leans red. Whoa! Altair with the tier 1. Happy Columbus Day. Holy cow. Altair with a tier 1 month at tier 1. Thank you, Altair. Happy Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day. Columbus was a goat. Yeah, he was. Who's literally the greatest of all time. Both at his time and now. Yeah, Christopher Columbus was the greatest of all time. One of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest mariners, one of the greatest sailors, one of the greatest captains of all time, one of the greatest navigators, one of the greatest seamen, you name it, the best of all time. Christopher Columbus. Happy Columbus Day. Columbus was a goat. Yeah, he was. Who's Columbus literally the greatest of all time. I gotta edit that. Let's just make this like this. Dude, if that should go virus. Columbus was a goat. Yeah, he was. Who's literally the greatest of all time. Both at his time and now. Yeah, Christopher Columbus was the greatest of all time. One of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest mariners, one of the greatest sailors, one of the greatest captains of all time, one of the greatest navigators, one of the greatest seamen, you name it, the best of all time. Christopher Columbus. Happy Columbus Day. Dude, that's a great clip. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric. That one ought to go absolutely virus. That one should go absolutely Wow, dude. I got ad suitability. I got ad suitability for my inner city Philadelphia comments, dude. Wow, dude. YouTube demonetized me, man. YouTube straight up demonetized me on that one. Straight up. Recent polls from Marist College and New York Times Siena found Cruz leading Allred among local likely voters by 5 points and 4 points, respectively. Both surveys showed former Trump leading Harris in the race by 7. Democrats hope to put Texas in play because the map of other contested races has them in serious jeopardy of losing control of the Senate. Dude, this is exciting, man. This is getting too exciting, man. The horse race is on. We're 2 weeks out from the election at this point. Well, we're 3 weeks out from the election. This is getting exciting, man. Top battlegrounds on ICP. Trump up 0.4. Here we are. October 14th, guys. October 14th. I'll click into this so the folks can see it. October 14th, 2024, Donald Trump leading up 0.4 in RCP averages in the top battlegrounds. Harris leading only one of them in Wisconsin. That's huge. That's huge. Trump in the lead. Oh, man. Let's see. Pollster scorecard. No, we don't care about that. Trump versus Harris. Here we go. Election 2024. Let's see. What's the same thing? RCP electoral map. Here we go. Check this out, you guys. So here you go. October 14th, basically 3 weeks out from election day. RCP has Trump, Vance leading Harris, Walls 219 to 215 with 104 toss-ups. With a bunch of toss-ups in here that really Trump is really leading in by quite a bit. When you click this over to no toss-up, they have Trump winning, which we can do. How do you do that? No toss-ups. Holy cow! Holy cow! Look at that! RCP right now. No toss-ups. No toss-ups. Donald Trump wins over Kamala Harris. 302 to 236 in Electoral College. Blowout landslide. Harris only holding Wisconsin. Trump picking up all the other swing states. 302 to 236. Trump wins. Num, what's up, Num? Happy Columbus Day, my man. Cheers, happy Columbus Day. I already put up my my take on Columbus Day. I'd be happy to show it to you. Here it is. I'll show it to you. Columbus was a goat. Yeah, he was. Who's literally the greatest of all time. Both at his time and now. Yeah, Christopher Columbus was the greatest of all time. One of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest mariners, one of the greatest sailors, one of the greatest captains of all time, one of the greatest navigators, one of the greatest seamen, you name it. The best of all time. Christopher Columbus. Happy Columbus Day. Hail Columbia, happy land. Hail ye heroes, heaven-born band. I love it, Eric. I love it. CBS News says they have 260 doctors demanding Trump release medical records. They never asked about Biden. Give me a break. Who cares? Nobody cares. Right, guess. Trump has 7K live stream and Harris 1K. Nice. Nice. That's still too close to be comfortable, though. Right. 302. What? I think, yeah, I'm like blown away by that. What was the 2016 map? 2016 presidential election results. I don't think Trump got 302, did he? He might have, actually. Let's see. Oh, he actually got 304 in 2016. He lost Nevada, though. That's what's crazy, dude. So Trump could actually pick up Nevada this time, which he lost last time. man.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Reed. I'm a single father and Iraq war.
Han Fixer, what's up? When you are anti-global warming, are you denying the fact the Earth is warming, or denying the fact it is warming due to man? I would, if I had to answer, I would say the second one. What was that map covering? That was the Real Clear Politics. Basically, poll of polls averages. If the election were held today, what the results would be. Wrong. We demand Trump's cholesterol levels. That was so hilarious yesterday on the Sunday show. Well, what if we want to know Trump's cholesterol levels? What if we want to know Trump's cholesterol levels? I want to know his HDL and his LDL. Did you see Kamala got caught plagiarizing in her book? I think I saw something about, is that about the Wikipedia? Like she was using Wikipedia? By the way, let's laugh at Hillary for still not being president. Ha ha ha. Seriously. I was stunned today. One of my colleagues who has been a never Trumper told me he might actually vote for Trump. Kamala's interviews in the Walls debate are actually destroying them. Wow. That's unbelievable, Alter. Great news. Hail, hail, hail.
Veteran. I dream of owning a home for me and my son, but mortgage rates under the Biden-Harris administration have made that impossible. What can you do to help make home ownership affordable again?
All right, good. It's a great question, and a lot of people have this question. First of all, it's too expensive to build the homes, and they're building them, and they cost a fortune, and 30% of the cost in some locations is the cost of, like, planning and certificates and a lot of nonsense they do. They make you go through hell. It takes years to get them, zoning approvals, all of the approvals you need. We're going to get rid of a lot of that. But most importantly, we're going to get interest rates brought way down. You know, we had interest rates at 2%, and now they're 10% and you can't get the money. We had 2% and there was plenty of money for everybody. And, you know, I call the home part of the American dream. We're going to create the American dream for young people and for older people, too, by the way.
Could you have gotten a more messed up link? Could you have gotten a more messed up link? Exclusive. Kamala Harris plagiarized a dozen sections of her criminal justice book. Smart on crime, according to a new investigation. The current vice president even lifted material from Wikipedia. We have the receipts. Thread. Huh. Oh, well, that's pathetic. How could you do, like, why would you, I don't understand why anybody would do that. What, like, and then it's like, yeah, okay, so she had a ghostwriter, her ghostwriter plagiarized. It's like, okay, so that just goes even to show more of it's a fraud. It's not even her own book, really. I mean, all of these, a lot of these books that these people put out are fraud. Like, give me a break, dude. These are not like books that are like, you know, your life's work that you literally spent like a decade working on or spent multiple decades working on. Like, you know, some books are, you know, this isn't some genius idea you came up with. Like, no, like you talked to a book writer for like a couple hours and then the book writer wrote the book for you. Trump better be prepping his second cabinet. Am I right? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
By the way, we're not going to forget.
Oh man, that's a good question, Eric. Let's fill out Trump's cabinet. That's actually, that would be a really cool thing to do, is actually figure out the entire Trump's cabinet.
I mean, I happen to be a very young man, but we're not going to forget the older people. We're not going to forget the older people. By the way, no tax on Social Security benefits for the older people. For those. I guess, you know, somebody said, oh, he's got a conflict of interest because he benefits by that. I'll give mine up if you want. I save tax. But no, we're going to do that for the older people. That's a big deal because you've been eaten alive with inflation. And all I'm doing is getting you back to even. I think when we do that, we're probably just getting you, you have fixed income, and you went up numbers like 30, 40, 50, depending on what they include. They like to say it was a 20% increase. It wasn't. It was 30, 40, and 50, depending on what they want to include. So we're going to do that. But Reed, getting back to you, we're going to drill, baby drill. We're going to have so much energy. And we're going to bring prices down because, your prices are up. Don't forget, the damage is done. We have the worst president and the worst vice president in the history of our country by far. And let me tell you, she is worse than him. And he's actually, I didn't think I'd ever say this about anybody. She's actually, you take a look at it, she's more dangerous than him, but he's actually smarter than her. I never thought I'd say that. I never thought I'd say that. But look, we're going to get it down. We're going to drill. We're going to get the energy down. When the energy comes down, prices are going to come down. All of that prices, because, when they...
Joe Biden also accused of plagiarism in the past. Biden threatened war on Iran if they try to assassinate Trump. Did he really? That's one good thing he's finally done, I guess. Joe Biden has been like a good president ever since he dropped out. What do you know?
They say, although they had very bad inflation numbers last month, you saw that. Very, very bad inflation numbers, despite the big, they did this big drop, probably too big a drop. I'm not going to get into that. But we're going to get the prices down because the damage has been done. If we had no inflation now, such damage has been done. The highest, in my opinion, the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They didn't include a lot of the bad numbers. I'll give you an example. On housing and on different things, like crime statistics are fake. They were fake statistics. They didn't include some cities that were really bad, so the crime looked like it was just bad as opposed to being horrific. Jobs, 818,000 fake jobs they added, and they padded the job numbers a couple of months ago so that they'd look better on jobs. 818, they were fake. They were fraudulent jobs. And they thought they'd announce the real numbers after the election, but we had a whistleblower or somebody that let it out. So they cheated us on think of that, 818,000 jobs they cheated. Usually when you have those numbers, it's 9,000 jobs off it. This is almost 1 million jobs off. It's not even possible. So we're going to bring things, and Reed, you're going to buy that house, and you're going to pay 2.5%, 3% interest, and you're going to say, I love this guy. Because interest rates, Reed, will follow.
Yeah, Eric, you called it. Didn't you call it, Eric? Didn't you call it? Didn't you say from day one, Eric, that, wow, no way Joe Biden should drop out. The Democrats would lose horribly to Donald Trump. Joe Biden at least has a chance. He's the incumbent president. No, they should never. You were saying it from the beginning. You called it. You said, no, this is going to be a very difficult thing for the Democrats to try to pull off. And here we are, Kamala Harris losing.
As the energy goes down, and I made another commitment, I made it over the last month, I've been making it. We have more liquid gold under our feet than Saudi Arabia, than Russia, than any other country. I'm going to bring down your energy costs 50% in the first year, 50%. And I better do it because I'm all over the place saying I'm going to have problems if I don't get it done. But we have all the capacity to do it. Nobody else can make that statement. We have so much energy, we don't even use it. We get energy from Venezuela. They don't have good oil. They have tar. They have tar that you have to liquefy. And you know where they do it? In Houston, Texas, because that's where we have the plant. It's the only plant in the world that can do it. We do it in Houston. So for the environmentalists out there, this is not a pretty picture, what flows into the air, right? But we're going to use our beautiful liquid gold. And when we get everything else down, houses, everything's going to come. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to have a house. Just wait a little while. Give me a little while. Let me get in. 1 year from January 20th, we will have your energy prices cut in half all over the country.
Thank you.
Bold prediction there. Bold prediction there.
Go
Sir,
ahead.
tonight we have some special guests in the audience. We have a Gold Star
Wait, this is Christy Nome?
family that is with us tonight. Mary and Charles Strange
Great.
are here. Where are they?
Where are they?
Oh, here they are. Sir, they're behind us over here to the left.
Come on up here. Come on.
They lost their son, Michael.
Come on up.
Come on up here.
Yeah, that's crazy, Eric. You called it, man. The Democrats literally made the exact same mistake they made in 1968. Idiots. Right. I guess if they picked nominees by polling numbers, I guess you should replace Truman in 48. Good point. He went on to win in an upset, by the way. Right. Kristi Noem is hot, the great Governor Amberino. No comment, no comment. Hand Fixer, I don't know if you're trolling or what your deal is, Hand Fixer, but I don't necessarily want to like respond to like really disturbing comments, so.
It's a little harder to get up since I got shot. They've made it more difficult. Perhaps that's the way it's supposed to be.
Sir, they
Hello,
lost their
how
son,
are you?
Michael.
President Trump, great to see you again, baby. 1460, the Gold Star. That's beautiful. Under Obama, all 30 guys died.
Did you want to say anything?
Under Obama is right. Under Obama. Please, on behalf of your son.
I would ask, Mr. President, my son was killed August 6, 2011 with 29 other men. It was the biggest loss of life in the Iraq and Afghan war. It was the biggest loss of life in a single day in the history of America. 22 of them men were Navy Special Warfare. Till to this day, we still haven't gotten any answers. I was wondering, I'm begging you, we would like a congressional hearing.
So here's what we're going to do. In the first week, let me have it, not the first day, because I made a lot of promises in the first day. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close up the border. We're going to do a lot in the first day. In the first week, we will set up a commission. We're going to find out, because so many people in your same position, they want to know what happened. Why did it happen to their son or daughter? And we're going to do that within the first week. So you get ready to come over to the White House, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President. I say one more thing. I want to let America know, June 2017, President Trump and his wife had me and my wife bring 20 gold stars to the White House. Him and his wife stayed the whole time. They had food, drinks. They did a candle ceremony for us. President Trump stood up every time, saluted the Gold Star parents.
That was both a celebration, a remembrance. It had all emotion, right? They were happy, they were sad, they were devastated, but they remembered their beautiful boy, right?
Yes.
Their beautiful boy, and we're not going to forget. We're going to find out what happened. We're going to do that within the first week, and you have my word. Okay?
Thank you, President Trump.
Good man. Good man. Oh, I agree.
Wow. Wow, Trump getting it done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
What a
President.
nice couple.
Wow. Wow. Trump is the man, dude. Honestly, like the more you learn about Trump, the more you hear about Trump, the more you hear from people that have actually had personal experiences with Trump, the more you hear about that, the more you realize Trump is actually a very good guy. He's actually very caring, very genuine, very nice, kind person. It's pretty amazing.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J.
Wow, what a great ad. What a great ad. Okay, good. Okay, let me know. Keep notes and like keep track of it. Keep me updated. I see. Have fun. I'm actually curious how Kamala would even interact with the Gold Star family. Certainly not like that. Not like Trump just did. Not that genuine. Not that heartfelt. Not that authentic. Oh my gosh, dude. My arm and hand is so sore from doing a little bit of barely any construction work I did around the house. How pathetic. This guy. What is wrong with this guy? Oh, I know, Eric. I'm actually concerned as well about what's going to happen in this election with Democrats trying some illegal stuff. I'm absolutely concerned about Democrats trying some illegal stuff in this situation. It's going to be bad. Have fun. Yo, Doghouse, what's up? Stolen Valor walls in the house. Look at this. Look at this weirdo. I heard a conspiracy that JD Vance is going to 25th Amendment Trump so that him and Elon can run America. People think JD Vance is part of the Peter Thiel network and it's a play for Silicon Valley elites to take over. I've been hearing that same stuff, Num, yeah. But no, all the conspiracy theories are on the left or are on the right. You know, yeah, it's like, no, these leftists come up with the craziest conspiracy theories. He's actually I don't know. I can see why you can totally see how he was able to become governor. You got to hand that to him.
We spent billions of dollars years ago to build a big air base. And you knew that one from your own time.
Yes, I did.
A big one, a really good one, powerful runways, long runways. And you know what happened? I'll tell you, they gave it up. And it was 1 hour away from where China built, forget about Afghanistan, 1 hour away from where China builds its nuclear weapons. Would have been very nice to have. And China now occupies that air base. So it's terrible. It's terrible. We spent billions.
True. Tampon Tim just can't figure out why male voters prefer Trump and JD Vance over him and Kamala. I refuse to admit that that's real.
And I'm talking here on this one, especially to the guys. You keep hearing about this gap on there. I refuse to admit that that's real because I know that we care deeply. I know these issues matter to you. I know they matter to all of us. We need to get, especially young men, out there to vote. This is not damn WWE type stuff. It's not about, well, it's cool when he talks like this or whatever. It's not cool. It hurts people. And it leads to violence and it undermines our system. That is not cool. And again, Errol talk on this. I guarantee you I can shoot better pheasants than them. And I'm talking here on this one, especially to the guys. You keep your
I guarantee I could shoot better pheasants. Yeah, I'm sure those pheasants you've got are better than the pheasants I've got, Tim Walz.
about this gap on there. I refuse to admit that that's real because I know that we care deeply. I know these issues matter to you. I know they matter to all of us.
Dude, the crazy thing is that just no men support Kamala Harris or the Democrats. I don't know how you could even be a man and support the Democrats at this point. I honestly don't get it. How you could consider yourself a man and still support Kamala Harris and the Democrats. It's lost on me. Tim Walz puddles a disgusting lie that President Trump will use the U.S. Army against his political opponents. That's you. That's what he's talking about. This is reckless, dangerous rhetoric. Tim should be ashamed of himself.
Donald Trump over the weekend was talking about using the U.S. Army against people who disagree with him. Just so you're clear about that, that's you. That's what he's talking about. This is not some mythical thing out there. He called it the enemy within. Donald.
Oh, man. Oh, that is too much, man. These Tim Walz clips are hilarious, dude. These Tim Walz clips are hilarious. I can't get enough of this Tim Walz stuff, dude. What in the world is this guy's dealio? All right, let me catch up on chat. What am I missing in chat? What am I missing in chat? I don't understand how anyone, man or woman, can support these cretins' threat to democracy. Lol, Walz's daughter got a minor in women's gender and sexuality. Are you serious?
All right, let's bring in Tim Murtaugh, Trump 2024 senior advisor. Tim, thanks so much for taking time with us. That was yesterday, obviously, the vice president rallying in North Carolina. Let's pick up where she left off. She's calling for your candidate to release his complete health file as opposed to just the letters put out by his doctors. I will say, Tim, at this point, we, the American voters, the public, know more about the former president than possibly any other A-list celebrity in the country. You know, his personal life, his professional life, his presidency. Why not just release the file to put an end to the Democrats' talking points on this?
First, I would say that Kamala.
I find that absolutely hilarious that that's what the Democrats are now going with in the closing weeks of the presidential campaign. The last 3 weeks of the presidential campaign and the main Democrat talking point is Trump's medical records. We want to see Trump's medical records. Are you kidding me? They think that's the winning argument?
Kamala Harris is probably the last person in America who should be talking to anyone about health records or things that doctors have to say, when she, as the vice president to Joe Biden, was the principal
guitar player. Good to see you here again, guitar player. Welcome, man.
Liar to the entire country about the condition that the current president of the United States finds himself in physically and mentally. So she is not the one to be delivering that. And President Trump has released his medical information from his doctor, who is a member of Congress, Ronnie Jackson, his former personal physician, who was also the White House doctor for Barack Obama, I would remind folks. But if she's going to be consulting a physician, what she really ought to be looking at is the health of her own campaign, because she is bleeding support from her own core constituencies, voters who Democrats ought to be able to count on. That's why she's paying very close attention now. 3 weeks from an election, this is not even base maintenance. She's having to go to black voters.
Wow, guitar player.
and Hispanic voters and people who are in the pro-abortion community, because she has to stop them from fleeing her campaign. This most recent wave of polls has got to be devastating. Heck, there's even a Washington Post story that says that even though she's raised over $1 billion, they're worried that they're running out of money because she has so many holes to dig herself out of that her campaign is running aground. This is a campaign that is in real trouble. People care about the economy and the border. They don't care about Kamala Harris waving around a note from her doctor.
Boom! Mic drop. This live stream is good. Tucker Carlson is God. Well, thank you, Minimum Garlic. I don't know if I would go as far as the second one, but appreciate you saying that my live stream is good. Appreciate that.
If these polls hadn't tightened, would Kamala Harris be doing an interview with Fox right now?
Well, yeah, Neil, we enjoy coming on your air, and the vice president's looking forward to her interview with Brett tomorrow night. It's actually kind of a stark reminder that we're not really seeing Donald Trump do very many interviews. It's been about a month now since he did a mainstream media interview, and we got to wonder why. You know, we called this weekend for him to release his medical records. The vice president released her medical report from her doctor, Donald Trump's team. I heard him on your air last hour insisting that everything is okay and that there's nothing to see here.
If these polls...
Who's this scrawny little punk? Oh, gosh. Oh, my goodness. I'm having too much fun here tonight, guys. I'm totally clip farming if you guys can't tell. Oh, this is too much fun. Sorry, I'm feeling a little bit silly today.
I saw today, actually, a story that Kamala Harris apparently copied some significant chunks of her book from Wikipedia. So if you want a president with their own ideas, vote for Donald Trump. If you want a president who copies her own ideas from Wikipedia, vote for Kamala Harris. I saw...
Boom. Got him.
Is there tension now between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden?
Congrats, guitar player. Congrats. Love it. Hate to see all those taxes coming out, don't you, guitar player?
Well, look, I think that when Vice President Harris is out there on the stump and she's answering voter questions and she's answering questions from reporters like Brett and yourself every day, and she's answering the question to say, I'm running as my own candidate. You know, I'm proud to have been a part of the administration that helped bring down the costs of prescription drugs for seniors and cap insulin for seniors at $35 a year, or a month, excuse me. And so she's proud to have been a part of this administration's record of accomplishment for seniors, for people who are bringing down their costs.
Is there tension now?
For people who are bringing down their costs? Dude, she's caused massive sky-high inflation. What the heck are you talking about? She hasn't brought down anybody's costs. She's caused massive inflation. These people just say the opposite of the truth regularly. Oh, it's frustrating.
Kathy, I wanted to ask you, focus on the economy right now. What concerns you about the economy?
The grocery prices, the housing costs, nothing has ever been this bad. And I want to know why, when Trump was in 2016, we didn't have problems with the prices the way we do now. And why do all the laws have to be changed? Everybody I know is having trouble. Young kids are having trouble getting houses. They can't afford, they have to live in the basement with their mothers and fathers while they try to save some money with their lousy jobs that they're getting. It's terrible.
Yeah, and Kathy, one last question here about voter enthusiasm. Montgomery County, it's very blue. Does this feel different than 2016 and 2020 to you on the ground?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's so much more support. Everyone is so pumped up. We're very excited. I know that it's a blue county, but there's lots of people that are voting for Trump.
What is this appearance on? Nelk Boys. What the heck is that? If I want to buy a reasonable sized family home, I'm going to pay $700K to $1.2 million for a home. That's insane, Numb. That's insane. You have to be making $300 to $400K a year to afford that, to be able to save up the down payment even, right? I mean, well, no, I take that back. Maybe $300K, maybe $250. I don't know. You have to be making a lot of freaking money to be able to afford a house of that, especially with interest rates. I mean, with interest rates where they're at, you probably have to be making like, I don't even more than that. Rumors are that there is evidence of Tim Walz grooming students, and one claims abuse. I've been hearing that story. I've been hearing all these accusations about that stuff. Guess I haven't looked too deep into it. The person who's coming out says he has evidence of him and Walz together when he was a student under him. Oh, wow. When some D-Med ex asking if I was interested in her services, she gave me prices and told me she can come to me or I could go to her. I think I know what she means by services. I'm definitely not interested. Yeah, stay as far away from that as possible. Trump is killing it with all these podcast appearances. You don't see Kamala doing this. Yeah, I wonder if is that one. This one must be Bored Jerky, Happy Dad. Like, what the heck is all this stuff around me too, by the way? Goku Gains, what up, Goku Gains? Welcome. How can Trump help with home interest rates? It's a good question. One thing that he could do as president would be to say that he's not signing any more spending bills from the Congress unless they balance the budget, and otherwise he's going to veto everything. And if he came into office and said, I'm vetoing every spending bill you send me until the budget is balanced, and then when Congress passed all these spending bills and stuff, he'd just veto them. He could do that, and then Congress could balance the budget. Once Congress balances the budget, that's going to massively cause inflation to come way, way down very, very quickly. Let me just tell you that inflation's not going to be a problem in our economy if that happens. We'll just be rest assured. So therefore, because there will be no inflation, the Federal Reserve will be massively cutting rates. The Federal Reserve will take rates back to zero probably at that point. When he went public, he was doxxed, but the group who did it put the wrong address, and the seniors who own the home have had violent threats made against them. That's not good.
If you are to be elected, what is one tangible act that you would take to turn the economy around?
Yeah, I think making sure that Donald Trump is not elected to put the tax cuts in for billionaires and to add his tariffs to us. I think the first thing we'll do is make sure the...
No, that would be winning the election, you idiot.
Middle class receives those tax cuts.
If you are to be elected, what is one tangible act that you would take to turn the economy around?
Yeah, I think making sure that Donald Trump is not elected to put the tax cuts in for billionaires and to add his tariffs to us. I think.
A terrible answer. Terrible answer.
First, I just want to say a little bit about what this building behind us represents. So you can see it's all boarded up. This is, of course, the headquarters of the 3rd Precinct, which was burned down. Thanks to Tim Walz's completely failed leadership. And, talking to these folks behind me, I mean, these are law enforcement officers. A lot of them were here, some of them for many days when this was allowed to happen. And remember, during those riots, these guys were given up for dead. Their police chief told them to stand down, hoping that it would save their lives. A couple of them just told me just now their fear that they would be killed by the violent mob that was attacking this precinct. And the important question is, what were their leaders, in particular, what was Governor Tim Walz doing to keep these officers safe and to bring order to the city of Minneapolis? The answer was absolutely nothing. They described being left for dead by the person who wants to be the Vice President of the United States. And to all the folks who are watching this, I think the message is very simple. That do we want a kind of leader who stands with the law enforcement, who fights for them, who protects their lives as they go about keeping us safe? Or do we want someone who encourages rioters and looters to burn down this precinct, who leaves the officers for dead, and then a president who then bails out some of those same rioters and looters out of prison. I think we want the law and order president. We want somebody who stands with our law enforcement, and most importantly, who stands with the communities that depend on law enforcement, and that means we want Donald J. Trump as president.
Man, JD Vance is so good. That's crazy. That precinct's crime rate hasn't improved. Shocking, not shocking? Yeah, no kidding.
You yourself have faced some criticism in the past for what some have called your lack of support for law enforcement. What do you say to people who believe that if you and Vice President Kamala Harris take office, local law enforcement will lose funding and their ability to protect communities?
Well, that's false. Vice President Harris funded more than President Trump's proposals did during his budgets. In Minnesota, I had made the largest investment in state history into law enforcement and community safety. I have been there with them every step of the way.
You yourself have faced some.
So now the Democrats are hardcore pro law enforcement funding. They want to hardcore fund the police, okay, great.
Sixty minutes. She gives a horrible answer, and they change the answer.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for the
Dude, this is insane, dude. So wait, so 60 Minutes actually straight up switched out the answer, completely faked it. And 60 Minutes got caught. Trump is right. This is the biggest scandal in journalism. Wow. That's crazy, man. Walls did defund the police. He's lying. Of course. Dems are so bad when it comes to crime. It's insane. Oh, of course. Vance spoke in front of the new burnout precinct in Minneapolis today. He offered to speak to local community leaders, but most did not take him up on his offer. Yeah, that's probably that full thing is worth watching. I'd watch Vance's full statement. Num says when law enforcement moved out of those neighborhoods, progressive DAs started doing social justice. There was a spike in violent crime. They're so focused on white supremacy, they refuse to allow justice into those communities. Innocent people in those poor communities deserve to have equal justice, be protected from violence and crime. Sickening. Well said, Num. Well said. Amen, brother. Straight up propaganda. The one who walks through fire. What's up? The one who walks through fire. Welcome. There's such a deluge of lies and manipulation. It's actually very challenging to communicate all of it to normies. Oh, extremely difficult, Altair. It's like you're living on a different planet. No, it's very difficult to communicate. Yes. Have you listened to Vance's book lecture? No, I haven't, and I have not read it either. He really can't. So, like, he asked him, like, hey, what's your message to, like, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds? I would have said something like, look, you're 18, you're 19 years old. This election is going to set the course of basically one of the most important periods of your lifetime, which is going to be when you're going into college and when you're getting out of college. And think about what this country would be like under a Trump presidency, and with my policies as I've laid them out. Compare that to like what you think the situation would be like when you're coming out of college in 4 years after Kamala Harris is there is 4 years. Let's be realistic here. It's in your best interest to vote for me, vote for President Trump. This is a very important election. We've got far left radical leftists on the other side that are going to do to continue to take our country down this horrible, horrible path that we've been on, where you get stagnation and inflation and the, more regulations and more laws and more crimes and more investigations and more all of this crap. I don't know. It's like, say something like, oh, can you fix your link, Guess? Can you fix your link?
From jails.
Thank you, Guess. I'll check it out.
This represents. So you can see it's all border. Thanks to thanks to Tim Walz's completely failed leadership. And, talking to these folks behind me, I mean, these are law enforcement officers. A lot of them were here, some of them for many days when this was allowed to happen. And remember, during those riots, these guys were given up for dead. Their police chief told them to stand down, hoping that it would save their lives. A couple of them just told me just now their fear that they would be killed by the violent mob that was attacking this precinct. And the important question is, what were their leaders, in particular, what was Governor Tim Walz doing to keep these officers safe and to bring order to the city of Minneapolis? The answer was absolutely nothing. They described being left for dead by the person who wants to be the Vice President of the United States. And to all the folks who are watching this, I think the message is very simple. That do we want a kind of leader who stands with the law enforcement, who fights for them, who protects their lives as they go about keeping us safe? Or do we want someone who encourages rioters and looters to burn down this precinct, who leaves the officers for dead, and then a president who then bails out some of those same rioters and looters out of prison? I think we want the law and order president. We want somebody who stands with our law enforcement, and most importantly, who stands with the communities that depend on law enforcement, and that means we want Donald J. Trump as president.
Yeah, I know. The one who walks through fire. I agree. Oh, nice. Nice. Thank you, bad boys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This could be a little bit better. Whoa, I can't believe it lets you do full minute. Can I do full minute long? I need to change my... Thank you. We'll see how this works. Hopefully that works.
I want to give some notice and some appreciation just by name to the folks who've joined us here today. It's a little chilly. I'm an Ohioan, so this is cold as hell for early October, mid-October. But we've got retired police officers, Brianna Garman. Brianna, thank you so much. We've got Colleen Sonby, teeth knocked out when a protester threw a brick. Again, completely unprovoked, completely unnecessary, and completely abandoned. And because of it, Scott, thank God it wasn't worse, but certainly had a very serious injury. We're also joined by Sheriffs Joel Brott and Wayne Cyberlick and Brian Welk. Thank you all for being here. And then we've got Fraternal Order Police member Carol Stray. Thanks, Carol, for being here. And then finally, we've got congressional candidate Joe Tayrab. Joe, thanks so much for carrying the message and trying to serve your community. We certainly need it. We have to remember that what this represents is the complete abandonment of basic public safety by the leadership of this state, including Governor Tim Walz. When the National Guard came 3 days into the riots, let's remember what happened. Tim Walz told Donald Trump initially that he didn't need the National Guard, and then, of course, as things completely spiraled out of control, he then begged for the National Guard, and of course, Donald Trump willingly offered the National Guard just to keep these officers safe, but also to bring some public safety back to Minneapolis. You know, Donald Trump and I believe that public safety is the birthright of every American citizen, rich or poor. It's why we believe in strong border laws. It's why we believe in supporting our police officers as they try to keep us safe. It's why we believe that you shouldn't encourage rioters and looters to burn down cities like Minneapolis. You should put the bad guys in jail. You know, as I was thinking about what I was going to say today, it occurred to me that there's a fundamental racist assumption at the heart of most progressive arguments about violent crime. This idea that somehow it is racist to enforce our laws and to throw violent criminals in jail is absurd, because we know that most black Americans, whether in Minneapolis or outside of this city, are law-abiding citizens. Black Americans, white Americans, everybody wants us to throw away the bad guys. If you look at violent crime in our cities, it's actually a very small number of people can contribute an extraordinary...
Tiger, what's up? You see the video of the appeals court hearing for Trump? No, what happened? Vance did a masterclass on how to deal with the left. Good. When he starts taking questions here.
Amount of the violent crime. If you just empower law enforcement to go after the bad guys, you can make people's communities safer, you can give every rich and poor American the right to safety in their communities, and you can make sure that the most violent criminals are locked away instead of set free into our communities. We started out, we did another event here in the Minneapolis area, and people talked about moving out of Minneapolis. People talked about the 1,400 businesses that were destroyed, a lot of them who were owned by minority members of this community. People talked about how Minneapolis had one of the great quality of lives 5-6 years ago, but thanks to the leadership of Tim Walz has now become overrun with crime, increased rates of violent crime, and so to the point where a lot of people feel like
Tiger,
it's easier to
good.
move out of Minneapolis than to build a life here. The story of Minneapolis is coming to every community across the United States of America if we promote Kamala Harris to President of the United States. She has said she wants to defund the police. She has said that she wants to empower the people who rioted and looted in the city of Minneapolis. She's going to do just as she promised, and in fact, just what she did as Vice President of the United States. This is not a fan or friend of law enforcement. Kamala Harris,
saying it like it is. Telling it like it is.
This is a person who's going to contribute to the violent crime epidemic we've seen across our country. We can't let her anywhere near the White House, and I hope the American people will join me, of course, in making Donald Trump the next president of the United States. We've got 3 weeks to go. We're very excited about it, but this third precinct drives home the stakes here. We cannot let bad guys burn down our cities. We have to throw the bad guys in prison. We'll take a few questions, ma'am.
Senator Vance, in 1984, your papa is the first and only time he voted for Republicans, saying he didn't really care for Reagan, but he couldn't stand that son of a B. Mondale. What do you think 40 years later he'd say about Walz's leadership?
I think my grandfather would say it's disgraceful to have a person whose job is to defend people, is to defend the least among us, who lets rioters and looters burn down this precinct.
Oh, of course not, Tiger. Isn't it crazy? No, sometimes, sometimes I just sit back and I think, guys. I just sit back and I think, whoa, here we are 3 weeks to the election. Everybody kind of halfway expects Trump to win. Meanwhile, Trump's won all of his legal cases. It's like, whoa, what a different reality than the Dems wanted. Dems wanted Trump like bankrupt, owing millions of dollars, in prison, disgraced, resigned, etc. You know, what a contrast.
And threaten the lives of our law enforcement. I think my grandfather believed that he believed in the basic American idea that if you work hard and play by the rules, you ought to be able to live a good life. If you violate the law and commit violence against your fellow citizens, you ought to be thrown in jail. That's common sense, I think, to 90% of our country. And unfortunately, we have a president and a vice president who really don't believe in that basic common sense principle. Because of it, violent crime is way too high in this country.
So on June 1, 2020, Trump was on a call with governors, and he praised Walz, calling him an excellent guy, saying that he fully agreed with how he handled it after he had activated the guard entirely. Does he still stand by that praise?
Well, look, I think President Trump, during a conference call, said something nice and polite about Governor Walz. The record is the record. Donald Trump, of course, can be polite to Governor Walz. I was polite to Governor Walz during my debate. It doesn't mean that he should have let rioters and looters burn down the city of Minneapolis. And the more that we learn, the more that I talk to law enforcement officers, I cannot believe how much this governor abandoned his own people. The very quality of leadership is that you fight for your own people. You keep them safe.
Is that right, Guess? Is that right? Wow, I didn't know that, Guess. Wow.
You try to protect them. He abandoned these officers at their moment of most critical need. That complete lack of leadership is what he's going to bring to the vice presidency if the American people elect him. It's why I hope that they don't.
What did Donald Trump... There's a difference, though, between saying something nice and saying you fully agree with how he handled it. Are you saying Donald Trump wasn't sincere when he said he fully agreed with how the governor handled the situation?
What I'm saying is that Donald Trump was being polite during a conference call, and that doesn't mean that Tim Walz can run away from the fact that he let his own city burn to the ground.
What does Donald in an interview over the weekend, the former president said that the bigger problem, he was asked about security in the election, whether we'll have a peaceful election. He said, quote, bigger problems are the people from within, and if issues should arise, quote, it should be handled, quote, handled if necessary by the National Guard or really necessary by the military. Is that a justifiable use of those assets?
Well, is it a justifiable use of those assets if they're rioting and looting and burning cities down to the ground? Of course it is, right? I think the question is it a justifiable use of assets depends on what's actually happening. I think as we've seen, and again, I want to be clear here, I'm not painting the entire Democratic Party with a broad brush. I'm painting the leadership and the far-left activists. But we saw this in the summer of 2020. We certainly saw some of this after the election of 2016. There is a core group of far-left activists who are willing to threaten, harass, and commit violence against their fellow citizens. If that happens, if you have a major reaction to an election in 2024, of course you ought to commit law enforcement resources to bringing order back to our cities.
What did he mean by the polls are so tight, and they seem to be tightening?
Sure.
How are you feeling, and how is President Trump feeling about the race?
Yeah, so I talk to the president every day. Right now, we feel very good. Right now, we're feeling very, very good about where we are. We think we have the momentum. We think, frankly, even without the momentum, if the election were held today, we would win. The polls have always understated Donald Trump's level of support, and right now, the polls will tell you, yes, it is tight. But right now, I think Donald Trump would win. And that's the public polls, again, that have historically really understated President Trump's support. Look, I think that it's important for us to not take anything for granted. Maybe the polls are going to be wrong in the pro-Kamala Harris direction, right? And the only way for Republican voters, for all voters who want to bring common sense back to our country, to ensure that Donald Trump gets elected, is to make sure that we get out there and vote. You have to do everything you can. Get a friend. Get a family member. Try to get 10 people to the polls to vote for Donald Trump, because we really want to swamp this election with so many votes that we make sure that Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. I think that we're going to do that. I feel very good about it. And one way to think about an election 21 days out is you just try to win every day. In other words, you try to make sure that you're driving the narrative, that you're getting your message out there to the American people as much as possible. I saw today, actually, a story that Kamala Harris apparently copied some significant chunks of her book from Wikipedia. So if you want a president with their own ideas, vote for Donald Trump. If you want a president who copies her own ideas from Wikipedia, vote for Kamala Harris.
Governor Walz's opponent in 2022 also brought up a lot of criticism about his handling of the riots. The governor was still reelected. Why do you think that this argument works now against him?
Well, look, obviously Minnesota's a bluer state, though if you look at the polling, I think we actually have a chance in Minnesota. The fact that Governor Walz was reelected in 2022 doesn't mean voters aren't bothered by his record. It just means that not enough of them were bothered enough to go in the other direction. You're obviously rowing uphill in a state like Minnesota, but I think a lot of Minnesotans are just sick of the garbage. They're sick of the lack of common sense in our government, and we have a real opportunity to turn Minnesota red. We're going to fight for it. Obviously, we're here campaigning and talking about these issues, but I think that my message to Minnesotans is you don't have to agree with everything I say. You don't have to agree with everything that Donald Trump says, but if you want more affordable groceries, a secure southern border, and a president who supports the law enforcement officers who keep us safe, Donald Trump is the only option in town.
What did Donald Trump mean by a enemy?
Dude, that's crazy, Guess. Yeah, I've never gone back and look. Is that what that documentary, the Fall of Minneapolis or whatever? I've got to watch that if that goes through all of that. I remember I've never seen ever an in-depth documentary about what actually happened during those riots and stuff. I just have seen clips and videos and stuff. You know what I mean? I should watch that documentary. I can't believe I haven't seen that.
Well, I think one of the ways I interpret it is in the past 3.5 years, Kamala Harris's open border has allowed at least hundreds and maybe thousands of people that we know are on the terrorism watch list. Thanks to her special immigrant visa program in the wake of the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, just in Oklahoma City, you had a person who was threatening a major terrorist attack on election day, and of course was working with a co-conspirator. We don't know the full background of the co-conspirator. But in other words, we know that Kamala Harris has let in people into this country who have murdered our fellow citizens, who have planned terrorist attacks against our fellow citizens. The enemy within are people that Kamala Harris let into this country unvetted, unchecked, and undocumented.
Senator, a lot of these police departments around here have been having trouble recruiting officers after what happened 4 years ago. How do you help these departments and these communities get officers?
You know, I'm not surprised that police officers, not just in Minneapolis, but all across our country, have had trouble recruiting officers over the last few years. I mean, think about what a tough recruiting pitch that is. I'm sure these guys would back me up on it, but come and work for our police force. You're going to get not the greatest pay. You're going to work very hard. You're going to endanger your life. And then when rioters and looters try to burn down our precinct, your own governor is going to abandon you. That's why we have a recruitment crisis, is because the leaders of this country have abandoned law enforcement. We need to give these guys better pay. I've sponsored legislation actually to end the Social Security penalty that exists with a lot of their pensions. We got to make sure that they have everything they need. But I think most importantly, you need leaders who support the law enforcement officers as they do very, very hard work. These are the guys that really, one of them has the thin blue line hat on. What does that represent? That represents the line between civilization and violence. And these are the guys who preserve our civilization, who make sure that you can walk down the street at night safely. They're the people who make sure your kids are safe in their neighborhoods. If you're not supporting them, you're fundamentally supporting barbarism in our communities.
Senator, on the Supreme Court, have you and President Trump discussed about possible people you guys could nominate if any openings come up in the next
That is unbelievable, Guess. Wow. That's more Americans need to know that. Holy cow.
I mean, there's a very good chance there could be 2 to 3 people
Sure. Yeah, certainly well aware that there could be some openings in the Supreme Court, but I've never had that conversation with President Trump. As you know, and I think I've talked about, both President Trump and I are pretty superstitious, and so we're focused on winning the election before we think about things like Supreme Court appointments.
Senator, will
one more question?
President Trump be back to Minnesota before the election? Or?
That's a good, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, our schedule is pretty well set a few days out, man, but it's very hard to say where we're going to be over the next 21 days. My guess is that President Trump will be back in Minnesota before the end of the election, but we'll see. Kit, and then we'll hit the road.
What's your reaction to Trump's comments about Detroit, saying the whole country would end up like Detroit?
Well, yeah, it's funny, Kit, because I was there, I think, either the day after or the day before. I was in Detroit around the time that the president made those comments, and I was talking to people, and look, people in Detroit are extremely proud. They're proud of the Motor City, but they also recognize that Detroit has had a lot of problems because of the failed national leadership. I mean, look, you can believe that Detroit has a great future and also believe it's only going to realize that great future if we've got good leadership in there. There was a point where Detroit was one of the 2nd or 3rd most populous cities in the country. It's now got 600,000 people. There's been a little bit of a resurgence in the real estate market, but it is still very depopulated. And if you're not willing to preserve American manufacturing jobs, you're basically condemning Detroit.
Fantastic work, as always, by J.D. Vance. Getting it done. J.D. Vance. Highlighting the fact that, unbelievable, these Democrats literally allowed Antifa and BLM to run riots and drop IEDs and all this other stuff on the police, and then told them to stand down and told the police officers to retreat and just let the rioters just burn and loot. And if that's what you want, yeah, vote Democrat. Very disappointing. I'll go on the record right now. Very disappointing in Donald Trump. Donald Trump just said that under his administration, the federal government is going to continue to finance student loans and the taxpayer is going to continue to finance student loans. I disagree with Trump on that. Boom. On the record, I disagree with Trump on that. You guys were a little, 1927 ethos. If you guys were a little bit older, I'd say we got screwed. Dude, Donald Trump is hilarious. Donald Trump is so funny. Tyrus. I didn't see that. Did you guys see that? Donald Trump on Greg Gutfeld.
So they get punched in the face, and there's a lot of truth to that, right?
No, yeah. I mean, you walked in, you caught 3 before you even said hello to you.
Well, I mean, I had people telling me that I'm wrong about things where I'm totally right. I was right about just about all of that stuff, that they were correcting me. And I think my only regret is that I wanted to be elegant, and I didn't want to go after the anchors. I wish I did, in a way.
Well, that's our job. We took care of them. We got
All right, we got to take
I wanted to be elegant.
a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more from the future president.
Oh, I must have already watched like the first 12 minutes of this or something.
Kat, do you remember Howard Stern?
No, but you've been on every show. I mean, you've been on TV a lot.
A lot of shows.
I mean, would you rule out? I'm not saying now, but would you ever rule out doing reality TV again? Like, what about hosting Love Island?
I think so. You know, I had The Apprentice for 12 years.
Oh, I know.
14 seasons, but 12 years, a lot of time. They wanted to renew me for 5 years. They were all set to do it, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to run for. I said I wanted to run for president. Mark Burnett, who's a great guy, and you know, the producer and all of the people from NBC, everybody came up to see me to talk me out of running. They said it's not possible to win. Nobody's ever done that. I mean, and nobody ever gives up primetime show. It was a big hit. And they wanted to do a 5-year extension. I said, no, that's actually when I knew I was going to do it. And, I mean, I love doing The Apprentice. It was so successful. The big question is, did it make a difference? Would I have been president? You know, a lot of people say they created this guy from The Apprentice. And I don't know if that's true because they chose me because of the, you know, the success.
I think it was your chemistry with Bret Michaels.
Yeah. Bret Michaels was a character. We had great characters.
Yes.
And we learned a lot about, I mean, we had Dennis Rodman was great.
Oh, he was fantastic.
And we had tremendous characters on the show. We had a lot of, I mean, everybody was helped basically by being on The Apprentice. But I just wanted to do it. I saw what was happening with the country. The country was going bad. And now what they've done with the border and the wall and the whole thing, they could have built an extra 200 miles. I built much more than I said I was going to build, and it worked. I had the Mexican government giving us 28,000 troops. We had so many Mexican troops, they had no choice. They had to. Otherwise, I said, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars that you stole from. You know, they stole 32% of our car industry, okay? You know, which is not.
Man, how is Trump this good? How is Trump this good?
We'll get it back. Don't worry about it. But, you know, I really felt I wanted to do it because we can make our country. The Make America Great Again is such a great MAGA, is such a great tag. And I watched Biden where he was very angry at MAGA. He said, we've got to stop MAGA. And I'm saying, it's Make America Great Again. You know, it sort of doesn't work so well, right? Make America Great Again. And that's what we'll do. If you think of it, we have 21, I believe it's 21. They say 16, but what difference? I mean, it's a lot of people, more people than any country could sustain. 21 million people, many come out of jails and prisons, slight difference between one being a little bit more harsh. They come out of mental institutions and insane asylums. They come out of terrorist schools. They come literally out of schools, but they're terrorists. We have people coming from gangs, the worst gangs in the world, MS-13, considered the meanest gang. They cut people up. They don't want to use guns. They attacked 2 young 16-year-old beautiful girls walking to school. They cut them up with a knife.
There's just too much, man. There's just too much. I really need to watch Democrat content though, guys. Like me watching, like I feel bad. Like seriously, guys, I feel bad even watching Trump content on my stream because I don't have as many reacts. I don't have as many criticisms. I don't have as many witticisms to throw at it because it's like, oh man, this is just so good. Plus, it's just enthralling. Oh my goodness, this is the kind of content we need, guys. This is the content we need right here. Watch this.
You know, when we elected 11 new LGBTQ members to the House 2 years ago and created the Queer Caucus, and I started pushing the importance of the trans refuge bill that I carried, he was always right there. He understood that this is a way for us to help community members, to help people who are different. You know, when we elected 11 new LGBTQ members to the House 2 years ago.
Wow, Minnesota State Rep praises Tampon Tim for his close work with the Queer Caucus. Hey guys, how's the Queer Caucus, guys? Hey, how are you guys working with the trans refugee bill on the Queer Caucus? Are you guys working with the Queer Caucus on the trans refugee bill with Tim Walz? I have no idea what the trans refugee bill is. I have no clue. Oh, Alter, we need trans people, seriously. Yeah, put that clip up here.
With my good friend and our next vice president, Tim Walz. With my good friend and our next vice president, Tim Walz. with my good friend and our next vice president, Tim Walz.
Yeah, why does he kick his legs? Why does Tim Walz have such weird mannerisms?
Yeah, voters don't like it when the people are pointing fingers at them and say, you're the problem. It's not the candidate it's the problem. It's you. You're the problem. That's, you know, we're led to believe that Barack Obama is some kind of gifted politician, but here he is going out there, and that's not a message that's going to...
2 hours in. I gotta go. I gotta eat some dinner, guys. I gotta get off and eat some food. 2 hours, though. I might be back on later. I hate to get off now, but... I'm hungry, man. I'm hungry. Let me see if I can raid somebody here, guys. Hold on. Stick with me. Stick with me. Who is Rob? Is Rob live? Oh, he should be. Is he not?